Welcome to Ask the Wizards. This is is this the February or the March? I think
I think we're going to call
Marchuary.
it March to make ourselves feel better for how much of a crap show February was
I
for us.
know, I know. We have a lot of questions though. We've got like 7 or 8 questions.
That's good. We love
If
questions.
if you count the one, there's one that's sort of an extra little question. You'll see. You'll
Bonus
see.
question. All
You'll
right.
see. But
I haven't seen any of these yet, so I'm flying blind.
all right. Well, I'm excited for this. Let's just dive right in, shall we?
Bring it.
This first question is from Rod Schwartz.
Ah,
Greetings, wizards. I'm blessed to work with a couple of clients who enjoy voicing their radio ads and are good at it.
good.
Dr. Alyssa Hain has been a daily radio advertiser for several years. In November of 2022, she brought on a second eye surgeon who happened also to be a longtime friend.
Hmm.
An unscripted conversation I had with them became the basis for the commercial in which Dr. Heidi Eisman was introduced to the listeners. The practice has continued to grow, and last year, Dr. Hain hired a couple of optometrists to help meet patient demand and shorten wait times for appointments. Both Doctors Hain and Eisman worked from a script to share the news with listeners.
Hmm.
The station owner forwarded an email from a listener recently. He wrote in part, "These two ladies doing the ads have the cutest girl next door voices, and the ad gives me warm fuzzies every time I hear it. So I thought I would share these commercials with you to get your thoughts." Sam Dial, a jewelry store client since 2013, also voices his own ads, most recently for Valentine's Day, though we call it something else in the 2 spots attached. Wondering what you think of the idea. In small markets like ours, it's easy for an advertiser to become familiar just by being on radio consistently. But if their ads also present them as likable, the advertising works so much better. Thanks as always for taking the time to share your observations and insights.
That sounds like you don't really need our insights, but I'm looking forward to hearing the commercials.
Dr. Hain and I met each other in undergrad and then ended up in the same medical school class. And that's really where our friendship started. We both were crazy enough to have babies in medical school when most of our classmates didn't.
And we were the only ones that had children in residency, and so we had to take care of each other.
Eye surgeons Dr. Alyssa Hain and Dr. Heidi Eisman had been friends since medical school. Their paths diverged, with Dr. Eisman practicing at Rockwood in Spokane and then for 3 years in New Zealand. But it was time to come home.
When Dr. Eisman mentioned they might be coming home and said maybe we should work together, I went, oh my goodness, are you serious? This would be amazing.
And when I was talking about coming back, I was offered my old job back multiple times and decided I just would rather work with Dr. Hain.
So now there are 2 exceptional eye surgeons serving you at Moscow and Pullman Family Eye Care. Learn more at moscowfamilyeye.com or pullmanfamilyeye.com. They can't wait to meet you and your eyes.
I love it.
Let's listen to the second one before I have thoughts.
Okay.
So, what do you get when you combine 2 charming and experienced family eye doctors, 2 absolutely lovable eye surgeons, and 12 wonderful coworkers, and give them offices in both Moscow and Pullman?
Is this a trick question?
No, you're my friend. Why would I trick you?
Well, it's so obvious. I wasn't sure where you were going with it.
We're going on the radio,
Oh, well then, you get Moscow Family Eye Care and Pullman Family Eye Care.
where now it's easier to see us sooner.
Because with twice as many eye doctors to help you see better,
You'll be seen better sooner. See?
you crack me up, Dr. Hain.
Right back at you, Dr. Eisman.
Eye surgeons Dr. Alyssa Hain and Dr. Heidi Eisman are pleased to welcome Drs. Marissa Brown and Thad Davis to their team at Moscow Family Eye Care and Pullman Family Eye Care, because they want you to see better sooner. Learn more at moscowfamilyeye.com and pullmanfamilyeye.com and make your appointment to see them today.
Any kind of critique could just as easily take away the magic of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have thoughts like if I was editing this, I would have cut out on the first commercial, I would have cut the little middle dialogue that made it feel like a commercial for a split second. And I would have saved his voice till the end. But again, then you lose time and you're going to need to fill it with the more of their conversation. And I don't know what he had to work with. And then the second one, it felt like they were reading an ad together. You know what I mean? It felt like dialogue.
I really felt like the first one. The first one felt like they just edited it together based on a conversation that they had, and I love those kinds of commercials.
Yes.
The second
one felt more like that.
Was written dialogue that they were reading. Yeah. But I think, honestly, they're both good spots, and odds are there's not a lot of other optometrists advertising, so your share of voice is going to carry the day, and they both came across as very likable.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can go wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I'm nitpicking because it's already good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would launch those without any fear. Any improvement is not going to be the difference between them working and not working. It's just going to make them a little bit better, but I think you're done good. You're writing new ones, let me put it this way. As you write new ones for them, know that from my opinion, your strength was in their conversation, and you lost me as soon as you inserted ad speak to interrupt the conversation a little. But I didn't mind your voice at the very end as a small wrap up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
And
that's
I would say,
and that's where it was strong.
And the other thing is, unless they actually talk about each other as Dr. Hain and right. I mean, if they were having coffee,
I would
they
love
call
to
each
see an
other that?
ad. I would love to see an ad where they talk about, we always call each other doctor because we worked so hard for that title and it makes us laugh.
Yes.
Would you like some cream in your coffee, Dr. Haynes? Why, yes, I would, Doctor.
Right? Or they're both sitting on a beach or at a Starbucks. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could have some fun with that. Otherwise, it sort of feels like almost like SEO crammed into a radio ad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's listen to the jeweler ads.
So guys, let me ask you something. What kind of an impression are you hoping to make this Valentine's Day? Hi, it's Diamond Sam with a few ideas for you. Chocolates taste great, but slip a colored gemstone piece in the box and now you're talking sweet. And roses, they're great too. They're pretty and they smell nice. But add a beautiful pendant to that bouquet and she'll have something to wear long after the flowers are gone.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I've put together 3 entire display cases filled with Valentine's Day gift ideas, with prices starting at just over $100.
This Valentine's Day, say I love you with an extra special gift nestled inside an unpretentious little box from Sam Dial Jewelers in downtown Pullman.
We promise. You're going to love what happens next.
Okay, hang on. Before we go on to the next one, I'm just going to comment again that, like, okay, don't change a single damn thing about that ad because I love how cheesy it is and I love the dad jokes. They fit his delivery. Every time, I'm assuming, Rod, that's your voice, or maybe it's somebody at the radio station's voice, but every time that voice comes in, I kind of stop listening every single time because that's when it immediately goes back to being an ad. But I would love to hear the thing you just said be said by the owner too. And so I don't know what the reason is for adding a second voice for the ad part, but it loses me a little. But I love the premise and I love the ad, and otherwise wouldn't change a single thing because it's
love
so cheesy.
The portmanteau of Valentine's Day is
Oh, I love it.
beautiful.
And I love the music was amazing. I do. A part of me wanted to hear you say chocolates are great, but they would melt if you try to wear it on your finger. And that's why we give diamonds instead of chocolates. Because you can't wear chocolates on your finger.
It leads you to a chocolate covered ring, maybe.
Yeah.
That sounds like a mess.
Let's
Should we
see what
hear
the next one is.
Let's listen to the other one.
February 14th is Valentine's Day. Now, I know you think the world of your sweetie. That's why we want you to come see us at Sam Dial Jewelers for the Valentine's Day gift that's guaranteed to make her sparkle. We have lots and lots of beautiful Valentine's Day gifts, starting at a little over $100 or as much as you'd care to spend. In fact, we have 3 entire display cases that are filled exclusively with our hand-picked Valentine's Day gift ideas. So remember, roses are red and candy is dandy, but add a Valentine from Sam Dial Jewelers. Now you're talking some next level stuff. Know what I mean?
This Valentine's Day, say I love you with an extra special gift nestled inside an unpretentious little box from Sam Dial Jewelers in downtown Pullman.
You're going to love what happens next.
Sam Dial Jewelers. Sam Dial Jewelers. Sam Dial Jewelers for the one you love.
I again, the switch to ad voice loses me every single time, but it sounds like this is a thing that is happening all the time. An unpretentious little box. I love the line, an unpretentious little box. I just, I hesitate to offer advice because these commercials are so great. And I don't know that changing it is a good idea because maybe that's kind of an endearing part of these things. Like, I like the ad guy's voice. It's a great radio voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like fatherly, kind of grandfatherly. That's when the writing switches to straight up ad speak.
Yeah. I guess, again, this is going to come across as nitpicking, but I'm going to use it as an example for other people's ads. And that is the music changes between the two ads, and you have a jingle. And so those are the kind of things, some call them brandable chunks. Tom Wainick calls them brand codes. So you keep those things consistent, right? That kind of homespun music in the first ad gives way to something entirely different in the second ad, and then it switches gears again into a jingle at the end. And I'm guessing that jingle bed has a theme that runs a full minute. They usually do. So the risk there is that if you have music that is consistent throughout a campaign, when that music comes on, I recognize it and I go, "Oh, this is a Sam Dial ad." Right. And so by switching,
like, I love that tuba music that started the first ad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you talk about, that should start every one of those jewelry ads.
Yeah.
Because it's so not the music you think of with a jeweler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maroon.
And honestly, you could make the case, some people in advertising might make the case that you carried that a little too far. Like, maybe you didn't have enough to say, or that you did too much. But I think that got attention. I think that was like, oh, I don't know where this is going, but right, I've started to dance along with it.
And again, these are like the final 20%. These ads are 80% plus. Like, awesome, great. The premises are great. The writing is great. So we're just picking because when something is that good, really small nitpicky changes can take it.
Yeah. And again,
even better.
I'm not saying something you should change. I'm saying for other people watching, these are some things you might want to think of in terms of keeping things consistent.
Yeah, I would leave them alone, honestly.
Yeah.
Just
all right. Leah Gabowski. Good afternoon, Wizards. I recently had an appointment with the owner of an asphalt company. He's at the point of his career where he can pick and choose which jobs to take for his company. He told us his motivation for advertising would be to let people know he's still the owner of the company. He stated there was a rumor going around that he does not own the company anymore. The majority of his business he wants to get is commercial. He makes more money on it. We have 2 scripts attached. If you could please give us your thoughts on the information I've given you above. Thank you. All right, so let's look at these scripts.
Okay.
So script number 1.
I'll be voice 1 and you be 2 and 3.
Okay.
When people begin to make a shrine out of that pothole in your driveway,
Call 1-800-ASPHALT.
when your parking lot looks like it was the epicenter of a large earthquake,
Call 1-800-ASPHALT.
when the lines in your parking look like they were painted by your 5-year-old,
Call 1-800-ASPHALT. Paving parking lots, driveways, repairs, seal coating, and striping. Quality Asphalt does it all. Owner Ron will personally handle your estimate and will work with you from start to finish of your project to make sure the job is done right. An experienced staff and the equipment to handle all of your commercial paving projects in the Tri-Cities, no matter the size. Quality work, affordability, and customer satisfaction. That's Quality Asphalt. Call 1-800-ASPHALT for your free estimate.
Yeah, and then Quality Asphalt, I'll do that. It isn't just our name, it's our way of doing business. Okay, so here's the thing. That ad started amazing. And then
The shrine out of the pothole.
Yeah, and then immediately switched into straight up ad.
I'm an ad. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just lost all the magic and all of the whimsy and all of the fun. Now I really like the idea of owner Ron, but
Yeah.
but phonetically it makes it sound like that's his first name is owner, his last name is Ron.
Yeah.
So, um, I
Let's look
I
at
would say the whimsy's great in the beginning, and whoever wrote those lines, when people gonna make a shrine out of that pot in driveway, that's great writing.
mhm.
Um, but
Yeah, I
then
mean
when you
there's
start
some
saying
even the
here's the
earthquake and the
15,
5-year-old, those are great mental images.
yeah, but when you switch to we do everything basically that involves paving, and we do all the jobs based. Like, well, hold on,
Yeah.
slow down. Like, you just named three things. You already
Yeah.
told us how big you can go.
And it gets
So
into ad speak pretty quickly. Yeah.
yeah, really fast. So I don't know how you accent on the um you need to develop those first three mental images, and we need to hear owner Ron how he solves those problems. So
Well,
I would love to see that, like, once owner Ron gets involved, that
yeah.
shrine on the pothole in your driveway was, I don't know how you follow that up, but you need to turn the
Well,
shrine into something else.
let's
And
look at the
you
next
take
ad.
epicenter.
Let's look at the next one because this one Ron is involved in.
Okay, let's see.
Now,
I'll read this one since you have to
okay.
read all the questions. When Ron Klim was it Klimkowitz?
Sure.
Klimowitz? When Ron Klimowitz was a teenager, he started cleaning trucks after school with his buddy for his dad's asphalt business. After graduation, the buddy's dad talked them into working full time. Washing trucks and sweeping floors turned into fixing equipment and driving semis. Before you knew it, Ron had a hand in every aspect of the asphalt trade, which was a lot harder work back then. Over time, the business situation changed, and Ron went off on his own to start Quality Asphalt, doing commercial, municipal, and light industrial projects. Since 1984, he's been running the entire operation from initial estimate to final inspection. Still today, Ron even hops on a paver or behind the wheel of a truck now and then. I'm cut still today. And then to show the younger guys how it's done. The most significant lesson Ron learned over the years is the importance of communication. Customers like knowing they're dealing with the owner, and he keeps them informed every step of the way. Another lesson learned was the importance of a good phone number. 1-800-ASPHALT. Call Ron at Quality Asphalt, 1-800-ASPHALT. Okay, so this ad's awesome. I'm going to recommend two tiny little changes,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, which is remove still today and just say Ron still hops on a paver or behind the wheel of a truck now, right? And then I would say remove customers like knowing they're dealing with the owner, because you've called Ron the owner the whole time. We already know he's the owner. You don't need to say it again. But you could say the most significant lesson Ron learned over the years is the importance of communication, and he keeps them informed every step of the way.
Yeah.
And now you've said he's the owner and he's still involved. And then keep the rest of it. That's literally the only changes I would make on this entire ad. That is a great ad.
I love this one too, and I'd love it more if it was Ron doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it was
When I
Ron
was a
telling his story.
teenager, I started cleaning trucks after school
Yeah.
with my buddy.
I
for my
still get on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
think you end it with the most significant lesson I've learned over the years is the importance of communication, and I will still keep you informed every step of the way. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
another thing that I think if we were comparing the two ads, she told us in the question email that the way Ron is measuring success
Mhm.
isn't about calls and increased business. It's letting people know he still owns the company. And
Mhm.
ad number 2 does that.
Yes, it does.
I'm Ron and I'm delivering a message for my company.
That's
or
right.
if you want to do it in an announcer voice, you're still talking about Ron. And I think that's the one that's going to move the needle on what he told you he was measuring.
If I had looked at these before, I would have tried my hand at doing a write-up on that first ad that we could play here and just showed you, like, here's how you take the whimsy of that and still bring it back to Ron.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'll mess with it and email it to her.
Yeah. I mean, I think this one just hits on what Ron said is
Yeah.
his goal, and
And it's fundamentally a great ad.
yeah, and it's a business to business ad. That's always kind of difficult on mass media, but small town, I get it. And Ron probably also, uh, just he doesn't want people to forget that. So
Yeah, good.
I'm with him.
Well done.
All right. Adam from Regina says, Wizards, I feel confident I can sit down and write a solid ad, but when I have to write multiple ads a day, I'm noticing repetition, and my ads are starting to sound all the same. But when I try to write in a different style, I get stuck in a rut. What are some exercises you could recommend to get me out of my rut, but continue to write great, unique ads?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I deal with this anytime I'm writing newsletter content or website content for the Academy. And um, I don't have an easy answer for this. For me, uh, I try to break up writing for different things with something.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally getting up from my desk and walking to another part of the campus, or going and getting a cup of tea, or taking a drive and grabbing a snack and coming back. And when I do, I listen to different music
Mm-hmm.
and try to get in a different headspace with music can really help, a different mood change. And then the other one that I've done is I will read poetry or read something that gets my brain thinking in a different rhythm. But even then, I'll sit down and I'll find that I'll be like, oh, that was great poetry. Let me get back to writing an ad. And then I fall right back into it again. So this is a very common thing as far as I'm concerned. What have you done, Dave?
Well, I guess my question about the question is, are all the ads you write starting to sound the same, or are all the ads for one client starting to sound the same?
Yeah.
Right. Kind of two different things. And I'm going to address the second question first. If you're talking about one single client and you're worried that all the ads are starting to sound the same, that's not entirely a bad thing, because as long as you're keeping those brand codes, those brandable chunks in place throughout multiple ads, you're actually writing a campaign.
Mhm.
And one of the keys of a campaign is the ads should sound like they're all part of the same family, if you will, part of the same campaign. Now, if all your ads are starting to sound the same, man, I would try something like random entry.
Yeah.
Pull a book off the shelf and open it at random and point your finger to a line in the book and write an ad that starts with that line.
Yeah.
Like don't let yourself change it until you're all finished, right?
Yeah.
You may have to change it to make the ad make more sense, but start with a random entry and see where it leads you. It's an exercise, Daniel, that you teach in Magical Worlds, and we've been teaching it for a long time, and it's actually kind of magical.
Mm-hmm.
So try a random entry, just anything. And the other thing I would say, especially if it's going back to a campaign and coming up with ideas for the same client over and over, man, take notes and send yourself notes. I have trouble, like if I'm in the middle of the night or I'm sitting at dinner with some people and I think of an idea for a client or for anything, I use a little app called Brain Toss. And it's just a little app that sits on my iPhone, and it lets you either make a voice recording or snap a picture or write a couple of lines of text, and it sends it to your inbox. It's that simple. And so that just becomes sort of a little tickle file of things. It's a way to capture it when you don't have anything to write on and you're not carrying a notebook around. But you think of things, right? If you're like me, man, you're thinking of your clients all the time, and you're trying to come up with something new. And those things happen, and if you don't capture them, they'll be lost. Just without a doubt, they'll be lost. So
I'm gonna
try
add
to
one.
capture them if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna add one final wrap up on that, I think, which is we teach about a thing called brand character diamonds, which is
Mhm.
building the identity of your brand. And one of the best parts about creating a character diamond or the voice of a brand is that when you start to go to work writing stuff for a brand, then you just assume the voice of the brand. Now, if you're just writing ads for people for radio, that you probably don't get to spend an 8-hour day with them developing the character diamond of who they are. But that doesn't mean that you as a writer can't listen to the brand, listen to their historical commercials, go look at their website, and write a little personal note of here's the voice of this company, I think. And I would pick a fictional character that you've seen on movies or books or read in books or in cartoons. And just for your eyes only, you never tell the client this. You just go, in my brain, this client is Bugs Bunny. Or in my brain, this client is Jack Sparrow. Or in my mind, and you just and so when it comes time to write for that brand, you sit down and go, oh yeah, okay. I'm writing the dude
What
from
would Bugs
Big
say?
Lebowski.
Mm-hmm.
And then that helps me a lot. Like if I'm just doing generic writing, it takes a lot to get out of a rut. But if I have to write for one of the voices of our pieces of content, it's way easier.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Thank you.
All right. Glenn.
Glenn, Wizard Team, our sales process shares your same philosophy, selling 52-week branding style campaigns using the strength of creative. My question this week is that before a client ever books a 52-week campaign, how do you prepare them for or guard against the dreaded 60, 90-day chickening out period? What exactly do you tell them to build both their confidence and patience in advance of having them sign off? Thanks, Glenn.
You just wrote it. I mean, there's no magic trick other than the fact that you bring it up beforehand is all the power you need, right? And so when you say, if you wait until it happens, as you know, and then 30 to 60 to 90 days, people start freaking out. And then you say, no, I promise it'll work. It's just offensive and you know this. But if you start by saying, all right, we have a system here and here's how we build it. We play the long game, not the short game. But 3 months from now, you're going to be freaking out because that's usually when the short game starts working.
Yeah.
But the long game takes 8 to 16 months to get rolling. But the long game is a freight train.
Yeah.
Once it gets moving, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. I actually saw him do this Thursday in a private academy on campus, and he was telling them, he actually gave this advice specifically. Like he says, you reach across the table and you put your hand on top of theirs. Now that's weird anyway, right? Nobody does that. And you look them in the eye and you say, 4 to 6 months from now, I promise you, you're going to think doing this was the biggest mistake you ever made. I want to tell you that right now because you're going to think it was the biggest mistake you ever made. But I promise you, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. You have to remember this moment so you get through it when it happens.
Yep.
And so you just have to do it in such uncertain terms. Like don't flippantly say, oh, by the way, you're going to be really sorry you did this 6 months from now. No,
Make it a
you look
moment.
them in the eye and you tell them straight up. Yeah. I don't know any other way than that.